Hi there, welcome back. Welcome to Wednesday, if today's the day you're watching it. And welcome to a bit of my day. Who'd have thought 2 videos in 1 week? I'm on a roll. I've got my green ribbon on my welcome card because September is PBC Awareness Month. And PBC is primary biliary cholangitis, which is the autoimmune liver disease, which I a year ago was diagnosed with. And so it's Awareness Month. And it's where we take advantage. It's such a rare disease that a family doctor can go through their entire career of practice and never ever have a patient come to them with PBC. And it affects mostly women. Out of 100,000 diagnoses, about 14 will be men and the rest will be women. And it's simply our body suddenly decides it doesn't like its liver bile duct anymore. And our own body tries to destroy the bile ducts in the liver, which of course in turn destroys the liver. So, fortunately, there are some medications, not very many, that in many cases can control it or at least slow it down, especially if you're older. And I'm older, so that's what I'm crossing my fingers for. So there you go. There's your PBC Awareness 101. We're going to do a bit of work on Peter Rabbit and Squirrel Nutkin. I got started on them the other day, and I also did get started on Jeune Fille, which you'll see here. I'll just show you this, but we're going to work on Peter Rabbit and Squirrel Nutkin today. But I did get the text block out. I reinforced with just a bit of light gauze or a heavy weave cheesecloth, whatever it is. I reinforced because although this is in quite nice condition, I believe it's 1916. Yes, 1916. Sometimes old leather that has been in unsatisfactory storage, whether it's humidity or whether it's not taking care of the leather, just like we take care of leather boots and shoes and that, it can just literally crack. So I decided to just, if this hasn't cracked yet, it looks like it's thinking about it. When I saw that, first I thought, oh, this is going to be good. It'll be all right. And then I took a closer look and thought, that's going to want to crack soon. When I say soon, within the next couple years or so. And so I decided I'm going to reinforce it with a bit of gauze, and then it will get reinforced again with the when I put the new text block in, because this fabric will go in and then it again will get glued to the hinges, and then it will be good to go, and we'll be all set to make Jeune Fille beautiful and ready to be a pretty little journal. But in the meantime, I got to work on A Tale of Peter Rabbit and A Tale of Squirrel Nutkin. Squirrel Nutkin, these were both, of course, in pieces and not complete. But the important part, the covers, were there. And that's enough for me. I can make a journal even just from the covers. So I've done it before, and we're going to do it again. With Squirrel Nutkin, there was still I still had the original spine, but it was still falling apart, and I opted to just remove it. I'll find a way to put it back into the book just for memory's sake, but I will be creating a new spine for Squirrel Nutkin. For Peter Rabbit, there was no spine, and there was only a couple of pages left for Peter Rabbit. You'll see I've cleaned out the inside so that I can lay down new end papers. And as far as new end papers, I have plenty of tea-dyed end papers from other Beatrix Potter, little Beatrix Potter books that I have tea-dyed. This was original to the book, so it will go back in. I just grabbed all the ones that I had, and so that's one of the originals. I'll find a way to put it back in, but this has stained, and I'm just not sure. Let's see. I tried the hairdryer on the original owner had used some kind of rubber cement and canvas to do their own book repair, and wow, that was good glue, because I tried everything in my book of tricks to get it to let go, and it just did not want to let go. So this was as clean as I could get it, and even with alcohol and acetone, I was pretty impressed with how well the dark green held on. I tried in a little area first to make sure that it wasn't just going to stain or ruin it, and it didn't. And I was able to scrape some of the leftover cement glue, but otherwise that's as good as it gets. Now for me, I like that, because this book still had the original publication date in it, which was 1903, and I'm hoping that that's approximately when this one was too. They were so popular, they were just published over and over and over again. You can tell the vintage to very old ones because they had covers that had color to them. The newer ones are white, and the really new ones, they have gone back to paperback. They have gone to paperback. So if you spot the ones of different colors, because for example, the older ones of Tale of Gloucester are orange, and there are brown ones, and I have a green, the Tale of the Flopsy Bunnies. I have that one in green. I have Jemima Puddle Duck was a gray cover. I have that one. Anyhow, so keep your eye out for them if you ever spot one and it's in color rather than the white that we all know about. Keep your eye out. This one, they switched over to a creamy color, and as we noticed the other day, there's no publication date, but I'm quite sure I could find out when the publication date, when they published Tale of Squirrel Nutkin in the ivory color. So what I decided to do with, especially with Peter Rabbit, because there was no text block, I have this book, Tales of Peter Rabbit and His Friends. And although I've gotten into it, as you can see, I make good use of the books that I cut up. So anyone who worries about, oh, she cut a picture out of a book, what a waste of the whole book. I use the cut up. When I find a book I like and want to keep a good one for myself, and then I've one for cutting, I make sure that I very clearly mark that this is the cut-up book so that I don't cut up my nice one. Now I've learned I put my nice ones, they're in my bedroom. So there's a little tip for you if you're like me and you keep one for cutting. If you're lucky enough to find 2 of your favorite books, and keep one for cutting and one for yourself. I have enough pictures from Peter Rabbit that I can still make a very nice little journal, a pretty journal, and just put a few of the pictures in and not necessarily the story. So that's my plan for Peter Rabbit. We'll get into the spine in a second. For Squirrel Nutkin, originally I thought, oh, I've got this one. I'll just use this text block in it. But then I realized this is complete, so I really could make a journal out of this whole thing. So I'm not going to cut that one open and use it. Squirrel Nutkin is also in this book over here. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'll use some of the pictures that are from Squirrel Nutkin in this book and make a pretty little journal. And there's a few pictures in here too. She had a few of these ones. And we're just going to make pretty little journals with a little tip of the hat to Beatrix Potter. Maybe I will raid some of I have the biography of Beatrix Potter over on my shelf. And maybe I'll find a nice picture of her or some sketches or that and put those in as well. And maybe a little bit of, Edith always goes nicely in with, I bet Edith and Beatrix would have got along. Fellow lady artists who made good use of their talents and their drive and the media that was available to them. I was watching a history of women in art, a video on it yesterday, and it makes sense that what women deal with the patriarchy through the ages, and what's appropriate for women and not appropriate for women. And hold on. I can't stand the spam callers. Anyhow, one of the big reasons why there are so few women artists, one of the reasons is some artwork was considered inappropriate for a proper lady. And but fortunately for us, watercolor painting was considered an appropriate pastime for ladies. So, and thank goodness for us. We have some lady artists that we can enjoy their talents to this day because of their skills. Anyhow, I'm off topic here. So I also took apart Squirrel Nutkin and cleaned him up. I think I still need to take off. I need to go around the edge. Boy, the glue in this was excellent, and did not want to let go. So, and there's no point even. There we go. Well, we got a bit off there. There was no point videotaping. We don't even videotape anymore. It's all electronic. Anyhow, there was no point recording that because it was just work with a knife, and get it prepped as well. And we'll treat them very similar. Peter's in a little bit worse shape, so but they've been cleaned up. They've been cleaned with alcohol, so even though they're grungy, they are clean. And I'm going to leave them rough looking rather than seal them. I just like the look of it. I like the feel of it, and I don't want to risk altering that. And sometimes sealant, if I do any kind of sealant, it'll be the light aerosol spray, the aerosol Mod Podge, not the paint on. But I don't think I'm going to. So let's get started on Peter Rabbit for Peter's spine. That's one of, you know what, here we go. Let's go back to our PBC awareness. That's one of the symptoms of PBC, is they call it brain fog. And sometimes now, you may have noticed that, and it wasn't so much so in my early videos, me searching for words. And it's actually a symptom of PBC, is they call it brain fog. And it's just my brain searching for words that used to come very quickly to me. So bear with me if you ever hear me looking for the word and I'm stammering a bit. Of all the silly things, it's my liver. Isn't it incredible how your liver can affect so many things? So here I've got some muslin, and what I'm plan on doing is I want a soft spine. I want a nice fat one, but I want it relatively soft, and I still want to do it hidden hollow back, because they still just lie nicer. They open nicer, they lie nicer, even when you've got a soft spine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down the muslin, and then I'm going to be gluing in it's just a very light it's 1.5 inches wide. So we're going to fit quite a bit of paper in here. Since they're so tiny, I thought I should put a lot in, and I'd like to use maybe some thicker, almost cardstock. And I've also got, if you remember, I purchased at the thrift store the other day that book that I immediately took apart, and it was full of cotton paper, blank, never been used cotton paper. So I plan on just splitting these up and between the two, and using this beautiful cotton paper. The new owners, you can watercolor on cotton paper beautifully. And wouldn't that be appropriate to watercolor paint in there, or writing with, if you're like me and you like using a fountain pen. So anyhow, here's my plan, is to use gauze. Let's just get started on it. Use gauze on the inside, and then use lace on the outside. So we're going to get started. I think I'm going to go with Mod Podge. Let's get out some wax paper. We can move this. And although you won't notice, I'm going to have to do, hold on, some pausing, stopping and starting I've got to reach a paintbrush. Hold on. There we go. I'll be stopping and starting so that it can dry, but you won't notice. It'll seem like magic. So if you're going to attempt this at home, be sure to let wet things dry in between steps. So I'm just going to use Mod Podge. Mod Podge holds paper to fabric quite nicely. And especially because in the end, this will not be showing. And I'm just going to put this in the center as best I can, approximately. Doesn't need to be perfect. And I may as well, since I've got the Mod Podge out, I may as well do squirrel napkins while I'm at it. The muslin, take a moment, it's worth your while. Take a moment to press it with your iron, and I also do a little bit of spray starch, and it just makes it a little easier to work with, because once it gets wet glue on it, it'll get very floppy. So I find that helps a lot. I can pull that down a bit. Again, just needs to be approximate. I just need enough room for about 1/4 of an inch of a hinge, and then I'm going to be sewing it right to the cover. So this part for me, if you want, you can use glue, and I'm sure it will hold well, but I always feel better when I'm making this kind of a text cover. I just want to keep that brush wet because I'll be using it again. I find it better. Now I've completely lost my thought. Oh, jeepers. Oh well, it's gone. All right, I'm going to pause, and I'll be right back. I think I remembered where I was. I'm back. I know my sewing machine will go through an old mushy book cover, so that's why I do that. Now, here's something you can do if your sewing machine will not go through a cover. This little beauty, Wonderfully Good, I wanted to sew. It's a soft spine. This is still in my Etsy shop if you're interested in Wonderfully Good. It's wonderfully beautiful. Oh, I love this journal. Anyhow, the cover that I made this cover was so thick my sewing machine couldn't go through it, but using my awl, I poked holes in the edge and I hand sewed it so that I knew for sure that this soft spine would stay attached and I didn't have to just depend on the glue to hold it together. So if you don't have a sewing machine, or you don't want to risk breaking your sewing machine, I don't worry about mine. Mine's old. Then by all means, you can sew it by hand, or if you want the look. Now, what I want to do is create a little just want a little bit of, when this gets folded down, I want there to be a bit of a, to look like there's a head band up there. So we're just going to use some art glitter glue up in there, and eventually that will hold that in place when I get it turned down. And then I'll pause again while that dries. I'm gluing it to the fabric because this soft spine, oh dear, where'd I put it? It's going to be one of those days, Catherine. I purposefully cut this soft spine just a smidge shorter than what the cover was, with the intention that I knew I wanted to put these in, and I knew also that I would need to be able to accommodate for the fabric folding up. And you'll see here eventually, let's come down a bit. Eventually, when we get it together, that they'll just be the tiniest little, like a band, like a band that you find on these kinds of books, but it'll just be at the head and the foot. I'm going to pause again. Okay, so let's just, got to make sure you've got the back cover where it's going to be on the back. I'm going to give myself a 1/4 inch hinge because, like I said, I want it to be really loosey-goosey. So approximately 1/4 inch. I can lift and see that I've got it there. And then here I can put this make sure I've got it. And I do. All right, so that's good. Now I'm going to get some rocks. Okay, so rocks are handy for smaller projects. I want these covers to stay put while I glue it down. So now I'm going to glue the muslin onto the cover on the inside. If some of this is not making sense to you, please feel free to ask away down in the comments. Catherine, explain that again, why you're doing that, the way you're doing that. There we go. And then I'm going to do it again. On this side. I left those pieces, in case you're wondering, why didn't you trim off those pieces of the original cover? I left them there just for an additional area for the glue to hang on to. You could trim them if you want, but it doesn't hurt to leave that there. The muslin will attach to it. I added glue onto that, and it'll just give more room for it to stick to. Now I'm just going to make sure, so while it's still wet, I want to make sure that for the most part, it is you can't tell because again I have left some of the cover still on there, but you can tell from this side and from how I laid them down. I don't know if you can see the graphing very easily on this poor old mat, but as you can tell, it's my favorite. Got a piece of thread stuck in there. So now this can come down and that can come down. I'm going to slightly angle that, and this will get glued down like that. So again, more Mod Podge. This side, again, keep in mind, this side is all going to be covered up with the new text block that we're going to put in, and the other side is going to be covered, might as well put that right on, with lace. So I'm going to give that a little pinch, and then this I'm going to angle it a little bit. The muslin, however you wish to pronounce it, is very, very forgiving for letting you adjust it so that it goes up. And then again, I'm just pinching the little header, and now you can see that that's all the same. It's a straight line across here where it wasn't before. It was this paper was slightly smaller. I'm going to go do the other end, but I'm not going to. We've already done one on camera, so I'm not going to take up your time because we're already at 33 minutes. So hold on while I go do the other one. Okay, so I've done the other end. So it is it's all together. It's got a 1/4 inch hinge, even though that's hard for you to see. You can see how it's really nice and floppy the way I want. This will all be hidden by new, think about it, if we put in new end papers, that part will be hidden. I'm going to be sewing down along this edge, but I'll be doing that after I put lace down. I'm going to be cutting this lace. I'm going to take this trim off. What I'll do is I'll probably do another video. I'll still do it today, but I'll show it tomorrow, the second half where I do the sewing. And I'll be sewing along this edge through the lace and on there. And wrap it around because this is a really thin old lace. I don't want that part. And I will also put, I'll double it up. So what I'm going to do is cut another one, and put it on this side. So I think that that should look really pretty, and it's a nice ivory color, if you can see, and it's really flat. So that's what I like about it. It won't be too bulky. It'll cover up where this glue was left that I just could not get off, and it will make for a really pretty, yeah, that's good. I'm looking at on the graph lines, and we did very well. I'm very pleased with that. So tomorrow we'll lay down the lace and we'll sew it. And but in the meantime, you can see it's got the little header, and this can still be encouraged to curve. The nice thing about soft spines is you can curve them by hand afterwards. They don't need to be curved ahead of time, like this one. I did this one in a similar way, and they just naturally curve on their own after you get your signatures sewn in. So, but we'll deal with that tomorrow. We'll deal with the lace tomorrow, and then I will be doing the exact same thing to Squirrel Nutkin, and I'll probably do that one off camera. So thanks for joining me today. I hope that my explanations made sense. And if there is anything that didn't make sense, again, feel free to ask away down in the comments, and I'll do my best to try and explain it better by typing. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'm going to go have lunch. Take care. Bye.